We've spoken here at length about the Teal independents running in Liberal-held seats across metropolitan Australia. They're being backed by billionaire Simon Holmes of court and opposing a real threat to some high-profile government MPs. This is certainly the case in the seat of North Sydney, where moderate Liberal Trent Zimmerman is being challenged by a popular Labor candidate, Katherine Renshaw, Climate 200 independent, or so-called independent, Kylea Tink, and a local fair income independent, Victor Kline. It's a tight race. I'll be watching that one very closely on election night. Victor Kline's the leader of a party called TNL, formerly known as The New Liberals. And he's claimed today that Simon Holmes of court tried to bully him into dropping out as a federal candidate. He said he was asked to step aside shortly before Kylea Tink was confirmed as a Holmes of court-backed candidate for the seat in September. Victor Kline joins me now. Well, Victor Kline, thank you for coming on the show. You've known Simon Holmes of court well for many years. What led to the falling out between the two of you? And can you characterise it as bullying to make you drop out?
Oh, I mean, I use the word bullying because it's the most appropriate word. I'm not a petal, you know, like I wasn't devastated by it, but I think it's a very bad look for someone who's trying to take the high moral ground to say, well, you know, I think you should leave this, mate. You know, he started very quietly, very softly, but when I said I had no intention of stepping aside, then he got pretty heavy, telling me that, you know, they had $500,000 for this candidate and I didn't stand a chance and, you know, why didn't I do myself a favour kind of thing. So I don't care what you call it. I think it's inappropriate, whatever it is.
So I'm interested, given you're running on similar issues as the Climate 200 independents, you've got actual grassroots connection with the seat. Why did they need you to drop out? Why wouldn't they just perhaps endorse you as the candidate?
You've got to ask them. I have no idea. I think clearly he had made up his mind some time before that that's what he was going to do. I mean, we weren't seeking his endorsement, so we weren't seeking funds from him. So I think he was focused on, for whatever reason, endorsing this particular candidate and supporting her. And then I sort of got in the way. When they were sort of within a couple of weeks of announcing what they knew they were going to announce, I already announced myself. So I think that's how it happened. That'd be my best guess.
I'm also looking at you on screen and listening to you and thinking to myself, of course, you would have been the first bloke running as a Teal independent. Perhaps that was also a consideration. What do you make about this Climate 200 grouping? They say that they're all true independents. I doubt that. I think you are, and there's a couple others I've had on my show that are running in Parramatta. This looks and smells and operates to me very much like a political party, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I mean, look, this may sound strange, but despite what he's done, I still have a lot of time for Simon Holmes of court. I think that he's done, whatever you think of the Teal independents, I think there's this benefit that comes out of it. He's taught the Australian people to realise that you don't have to take the least worst option. So you might say, well, you know, this government's disappointed me and I don't want to vote for them, but hell, I got to vote for Labor and what's the chance they'll be any better? Nil, you know, so where do I go? I'm lost. He's taught them that there are other options. And those options might be his candidates, they might be our party, they might be other parties. And I think that's a good thing. I think that motivation is good. I think in all honesty, there's got to be mixed motivation in there, in the sense that we all have mixed motivation. And I think, you know, Simon was bodily removed from a Liberal Party fundraising dinner by Josh Frydenberg, or not by Josh Frydenberg. Josh Frydenberg had him bodily removed from that function. Now, I think there's got to be a little bit of wanting to get back against Frydenberg in there. But, I mean, that doesn't bother me either, really. I mean, that's a sort of natural human instinct. So, in other words, his motivation doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that he's taking a high moral ground and saying, I'm better than the Labor Party and the Liberal Party. Then he engages in bullying. And when that bullying doesn't work, and then he spends more on the North Sydney candidate than, you know, any other candidate in the country, and that doesn't work because I'm overhauling his candidate. And then he starts, you know, employing dodgy brothers polling who aren't even, you know, I forget what their name is, a Community Endeavour or something like that, they're not even a member of the Polling Australia, so you can't even put in a complaint about them. He employs them to dodge up a situation where the polling looks like I'm no threat when I am, so that my supporters and people who want to vote for me suddenly have doubts. I mean, when you do that, you know, like I expect that from Labor and Liberal. They do that 5 times before breakfast, you know. But he's taking a high moral ground, and if he takes the high moral ground, he shouldn't get down in the mud and do the dirty tricks. I guess that's how I, in summary, view the movement.
So I want a quick comment on the money, because to me this is the Americanisation of Australian politics. We've seen it obviously first off with Clive Palmer, $100 million to try and buy himself a seat in Parliament. Worked once, didn't work at the last election. We're told today out of the Daily Telegraph, we're talking about $200 million from entities in and around Simon Holmes Court, Climate 200, behind these teal independents. I don't reckon you're spending anywhere near like that sort of money.
No, we've got $45,000. So we've got literally less than 5% of Simon's independent. And, you know, it's absurd. I mean, they've got to a point now where they don't know where to spend it anymore. You know, they've bought every billboard and, you know, they've got every shopping centre and, you know, they've advertised in every possible newspaper. And I'm still overhauling them. You know what I mean? Because people want more than money. But I think you know, I absolutely agree with you. You shouldn't be able to think you can buy an election. That's not very healthy for a democracy. And we, in our party, we certainly have policies to restrict and limit donations.
All right, Victor Kline, I'll have to leave it there. I appreciate your time. True independent there for the seat of North Sydney. Simon Holmes Court, of course, rejects those bullying claims, but the text messages are out there in the public domain. You have a look and make your own judgments up. There you go.